Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back with the fourth and final part of Black Fridays, the very, as I call it. Hope you enjoy it. And I got to admit, I know I mentioned this in part three in the last video, but I was a bit spineless because when I went to the for the meal and things like the church group that I go to most Fridays, except for when I'm ill or tired or whatever. I miss a few, but generally speaking, I go there every Friday pretty much. We were in a traffic jam even, and I wanted to discuss what my mad idea about 1, 2, or for one, or share for share, or like for like, but with my mum. But I often think she's a bit stubborn, and also I was a bit spineless. I bottled it, and I was thinking, where does that term come from? Why do they call it bottle it? But I bottled it, and there's another idea I had as well. Another thing I think of is like something I'd love to make. You know how they have swear jars? Every time someone swears, you have to put £1 in or something, and it goes to charity or something like that. Or sometimes pubs have them. Maybe the pub themselves could use it. But because I'm into philanthropy and stuff like that, or charity, I was thinking like maybe I'd love to encourage other people to do this as well. Sometimes from a selfish point of view, I'd probably raise money for Italian football as well or something like that. But each time someone calls someone to do an errand, each time someone calls someone's name or shouts someone's name, basically, just to clarify, when I say call someone, I mean like shouts at them or shouts to for them to do an errand. I don't mean like call them on the phone and say how are you and all that, just in case. I mean, people probably know that anyway, but I thought I'd say that just in case, just to clarify. But yeah, each time someone asks someone to do an errand, perhaps you could say, or each time someone calls, like, I get really annoyed if people call me because I like to focus, which is one reason why I love being single, and I love, if I was more independent, I'd love to live on my own, although I suppose it does come with responsibilities as well, to be fair, that perhaps I take for granted not having. Sorry, I know I'm talking a lot about myself, but it's something that could be, so you could say, oh, this month we're going to raise money for cancer, but I think as long as you stuck to it, so it could be for diabetes, it could be for cancer awareness, for cure of cancer, for helping the homeless, it could be for any, or helping United Nations, or whatever particular cause you want. It could be for like the school I support, Rare Gem, or whatever, the Rare Gem school in Kenya, or whatever else, a good cause you think is close to your heart. And each time you call your niece or nephew or son or daughter to do an errand for you, you have to put £1 in, as if you ask politely, as if you use either please, appreciate, and stroke, or thank you. But if you don't use any of those terms, you would have to put £2 in, or whatever, depending, $2 if you're in America, if we did this internationally, or any other country, whatever currency they have. So I hope that made sense. But I was thinking, if people stick to that and hold people to it, don't say, oh, you're older, you can get away with it. In fact, maybe even just saying, I'm older than you, so you have to respect me just because I'm older than you, or whatever. Even saying, I'm older than you, or excuse me, I'm older than you, or whatever. Maybe you'd have to put £1 or even £2, or whatever it is. And I think that would do a number of things. Well, I think it would do at least two things. One, it would raise funds for a certain cause, for instance, the Rare Gem School or whatever. And two, it would tell you that, so if someone says my son or daughter doesn't do anything for me, or my niece or nephew doesn't do anything for me, then it would mean you could say, well, how much money have you had? As long as you stick to it. If you didn't stick to it and say, oh, I'll let them off, and you start slacking. I don't really like rules, but I think they are kind of there for a reason a lot of times. So I like to break them, but if they are like laws, legislature, I don't like to break the law at all. But if you sort of enforced it and stuck to it, I think that's important. It's like going to the gym, or going walking, or going to play football or something. If you stick to it, it's a lot better. Like I'd love for Italians and Celts to practice football for at least an hour a day. But anyway, that's a bit off topic. But it would tell you that my son or daughter or niece or nephew does do a lot for me, because each time I call them, I have to put £1 or £2 or whatever it is. But again, what your currency is into the pot. I'd love to know what people think about that idea. And do you think people could stick to it? Because I think what could happen is people could cheat. They could say, oh yeah, we'll do that, and then not enforce that rule. And then if you don't stick to it, you enforce it and stuff, it doesn't get adhered to. So I say about being spineless and bottling it and whatever. I suppose that's the same sort of thing, because if my mum calls me, sometimes I want to say that. I want to make a point and say, but I fear that she's going to say, "Oh, you're just making a point" or whatever. But I want to say, what I want to do is put a jar or a mug or a cup or something. It could even be a glass or a mug that says, one of my mugs that says Michael on it. I've been called a lot of things in life, but Michael's the best one to respond to, or something like that. I generally speaking think of that mug. Not talking about myself there, I'm talking about an actual mug. But on a serious note, so each time someone calls, and I think if every family did that, one thing, you'd appreciate people, because if you think every time they do something for me, I have to put £1 or even £2, if I don't ask politely, into that, then I think that raises a lot of money, and it would also, as I say, make people appreciate people more. But I'd love to know what people think about that idea. I'd love to promote that idea. I know I don't always explain things as well as possible, and sometimes I probably over-explain them, but I hope that made sense. If you have any questions, as ever, please ask me. Please ask away. And I think that covers everything for the intro. I know it's a rather long intro, but I really want to say those things. But yeah, so if my mum calls me or whatever, I want to say a point like people say to me sometimes, but yeah, I want to say, Mum, from now on, each time you call me, you've got to put at least £1 or £2. But I don't have the spine to do it, so I wonder how can I grow. Some people might say grow a pair, but I don't know if I'd say it that way. I would say spine or bottle, not bottling it. Sorry. Anyway, I'm going to crack on to the rest of the list of my ideas. Gosh, I do waffle, I know, but here goes. So number 31, I would love to support and celebrate and support black comedians and filmmakers I talked before about, including comedy films, and look at some of the funniest black comedians out there and whatnot, including film producers, directors, and whatnot, like the Wayans brothers and people like that, all over the world, in Britain as well, and America, obviously America, Africa, Australasia, and all over Europe and all over the world, to support black empowerment, as I say. Number 32, also all sorts of different fields and areas. Again, I talked about farming and finances, support black people in finance, black people in business, black in business, black in finance, banking, and all sorts of different areas of empowerment. Black game makers, video game makers, and maybe black people all around the world, including, especially from Africa, across Africa and across Australasia, learning how to make video games together and having a website as well, which people can play, and maybe they could have free games but sell advertising space on the websites, or have really cheap games, like maybe they're £1 to play or $1 to play, and then if you get to the next level you have to spend a bit more. But they could look at different ways, they could look at different business models that they could utilize to grow their finances and things like that. Number 33, I wish that I was going to say, in the intro point that number 31, some negative thoughts of mine. Like sometimes I think, I don't know if I should say this, but sometimes it feels like God is wicked or even evil or whatever. I think, why does he give this burden? Like, I wish there was more freedom in life. And I think if you're not allowed to have sex outside marriage, if you're not allowed to do what they call fornicate, I probably shouldn't say that. It's another one of those I shouldn't say, but what can you really do? Because me personally, I'm aromantic. I don't really give it about romance or formal relationships. I love being single. I love being on my own sometimes, but I would, probably another term I shouldn't say, but I'd love to get laid and stuff like that, as long as it's consensual. And I wish God would give us those permissions, as long as it's not underage. Like, to me, I don't really believe in many laws or rules, as long as they're not underage or related by blood, and they're consensual adults or whatever, depending on legal age where you live. Like, I think in the UK it's 16 is legal age. So I think if anyone wants to do that sort of thing, they should have the freedom to do it, as long as they're not being forced and they're not related by blood or whatever. But yeah, I think, like, what freedoms do you really have if you can't do that sort of thing? Number 34, again, I hope God proves me wrong and shows me that he is good after all, and proves my pessimisms, paranoia, anxiety, and just negative thoughts. I hope somehow he proves them wrong. Of course, I know those 2 points did go a bit off topic. Although, yeah, I hope God shows that he loves people and really does support and care for people, like whatever race or background they are or whatever. And also, I suppose it does kind of go to the theme, like, I think, like, I sometimes part jokingly say, like, as a form of reparations, like, black guys can get free nookie. Moving on, number 35, how can they achieve their ambitions and goals financially included? I'd love to have people share their ideas on that. Number 36, I'll say I'd love to work with members of the black community or people of all different backgrounds to go to Italy and share ideas about football, as I said before. Number 37, the same for Celtic. Number 38, I'll say I was only going to include like two. I was only going to include naughty or dirty ideas or whatever confessions. I was going to try and make it family friendly, but I sort of messed up a bit. But it was only going to be on point number 30, because like dirty 30 or naughty 40 and that kind of thing for number 40. But I think women owe that guy's free nookie to fight racism, like non-black chicks, and maybe even sometimes they could get paid to get laid. Moving on, number 39. I wish I was there. I wish I wasn't 41. I was good to about turning 40 because it's a bit like this. I know I'm talking a bit more about myself than I wanted, but I'd say I'd love to support. Going back to the topic, I'd love to support black people in all possible fields and learn not to give too much info away. Sometimes I'm too spineless, and sometimes I'm not spineless enough. I don't know, but yeah, some people say you should say what you see, but they're probably not talking about someone like me when they think of that. I am wary because, like, especially my Facebook, I like to keep it family friendly, so and more professional. But difficult balance. But as I say, I'd love to find a way to communicate my ideas. So if anyone has any suggestions, please let me know. And one thing I forgot to say actually in the intro was well, I think I'll talk more about 1, 2, or 4, 1, or share, or like for like, and things like that tomorrow. But yeah, I'll talk about the list hopefully if I get around to it, or ASAP basically. And number 40, I wish that God would love and reparate the black community for being enslaved, colonized, and things like that by giving them free nookie. And well, they get to be filthy and fornicate and get to fuck. Excuse my French, but anyway, yeah. So for free, or sometimes even get paid to. They like me personally. I think to bless. I probably shouldn't. Another thing I shouldn't say, but I think to bless a male is like. I don't know why any guy wouldn't want to be in a certain industry. I don't know why any guy wouldn't want to be a porn star or a gigolo. But with that being said, I'm out. Peace and love.